Hi, everyone, and welcome to our first webinar of this Did You Know series. I hope you're all seeing me. Hi, my name is Adriana, and I'm the marketing manager within Inova Solutions. And in this Did You Know series, we are going to give you some tips and some tricks to increase your productivity, to maximize your efficiency with the Microsoft products that you use. A lot of us know how to use the overall applications, but not all of us really have the insights of what you all can do with that particular application. So today we will talk more about Outlook, and like said in the communication that we've sent, it's not only send, reply all, and attach an email. Jasper will be our speaker, and he is a ambassador of using also application through the web. So I'm very curious what type of tips and tricks he is going to show us. Jasper, the floor is yours.
Good, thank you very much. So on the next slide, there is a little agenda, but Adriana provided me with this introduction slide, and I'm so happy with it because everything I see in here on this slide shouldn't be in email, period. I mean, look, there's something about an upcoming trip. There is an intern meet and greet. There is something like TED Talks this winter. So when it comes to email, and hey, we will get in there. So we'll get into Outlook. It's very popular, and we just throw everything in the mail. But there's a lot of things in here that shouldn't even be in an email. They're in the center. Happy Women's Day. I have nothing against Happy Women's Day, but it should not be in an email. There is other communication platforms and ways of celebrating stuff like this. So this is really the perfect starting point of do you know how to be proficient in email, in Outlook? So let's see what we have. This is my title slide. That's fine with me. This is me. I guess a lot of persons already know me. I'm a solution architect. I'm a Microsoft evangelist. I've been working from home since I moved to Aruba 7 years ago. And I used to travel a lot. In March, something happened worldwide and I'm stuck here on Aruba. I can think of a lot worse places to be. So, but I'm working from home. So I'm sitting in my living room right now. Maybe you can hear a dog bark every now and then. I have 2 of those. And I'm a Microsoft certified trainer. And one of my personal slogans is, the value of your IT investments is only as big as you train your users. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Okay, let's move to the really interesting topic. So email, is it a blessing or a curse? When I started being a trainer, that was 25 years ago, back in the Netherlands, I trained like 3, 4, maybe even 5,000 end users. 1995, Windows 95, Office, and I showed them email, which was, hey, nobody knew about email. Email was like, wow. And 90% of those people in my training said email. After I showed it, I made a demonstration and I had them play around with it. Well, we're never going to use that. So that was only 25 years ago. We were never going to use email. I think by now we know different. So we have to realize using email is efficiency is about doing things right, but effectiveness is about doing the right things. And email has become maybe too successful over the last 20 years. And its effectiveness in your organization. So I'm talking about the organization, maybe not necessarily about you personal, but about Is it effective as a communication means within your organization or with your customers or with your colleagues? So it's really about effectiveness. So you can read a lot on the public internet on email tips, and most of the email tips are about managing your inbox. But I want to look at the sender's responsibility, because hey, your inbox is just wide open. You know, nobody will ask you for permission to send you an email. Sometimes they do. I think that's rather stupid. They will call you first. Hey, is it okay if I send you an email? That's double the information. So that doesn't make sense in the context of effectiveness. But let's have a look in this session at what can you as a sender do to make sure that email is a successful and a valid communication mechanism in your organization. So in general, so you can look up these figures. They are general published over the internet, but on average, over 60% of emails is internal email. That means between you and your colleagues. You know, sometimes you send an email to a colleague who is sitting right in front of you. Is that effective? Does that make sense? Just send them an email and include your boss or whatever. No, hey, you can throw that conversation right across the table. So in over 75% of emails, the CC field is filled. So CC stands for carbon copy. Wow. Hey, I'm an old guy, but maybe some of the other old persons in this call may remember the age of the typewriter, where you had a carbon copy of everything you typed. So the original letter went into an envelope and to your customer or the destination, and behind that, the carbon paper, you had a copy of that same letter that you typed, and you filed that in a cabinet. That is where CC comes from. You file it somewhere in a cabinet so somebody can retrieve that if necessary. And then, hey, we love distribution lists and groups. You know, you click on the button and you select your distribution group and you click on send, and there goes your email to 60 recipients. Yeah, okay, so fine. So the context of this whole conversation is effectiveness. So realize effectiveness. And I think we can do better than this. Really. And that is very simple. There are some very simple tricks that you can do in Outlook or Outlook on the web, or in just realizing that, hey, is this the most effective way of communicating, or am I just being numb and do what I automatically always do? Okay, hey, you have a message to deliver. I would say initially, especially, so remember 60% of emails is internal. Go to the person. Nowadays, that's maybe a little bit more complicated because, oops, we work from home. So I cannot walk over to a colleague because I'm working from home and my colleague sits 25 miles down the road. So that's maybe at this point in time not such a not a good option. But call the person. If you have a simple question, just call the person, your colleague or your customer or your relation or whatever. Call the person and tell them your simple question. Don't bother putting that in an email and carbon copy the rest of the world in there. Call the person, or hey, use Teams. I hope that most of my audience right now is on Office 365, so you have Teams, so you can just put your question in a chat and say, hey, did you manage to speak to that and that customer? And then you do instant messaging, you do just a chat like you do on WhatsApp or whatever private communication tools you use. For more general information, company-wide, so that's what I liked about that first slide. Hey, we have, what was it, Celebrate Women in IT, an announcement. Don't do announcements in an email. Please, you have your corporate intranet for that, or we use, within Inova, we use Yammer as our corporate intranet. That is where you make your announcement. If there's a new employee in there, in your organization, don't send an email to all employees. Hey, we just hired Albert as a new member of our sales department. Don't do that. That is abusing email. That is why some people see email as a curse instead of a blessing. And then, of course, every now and then, yeah, send an email. But there's little I'm going to show you a couple of really simple things in email that can make it so much more effective for the whole organization. So I want to abolish email, period. But let's not go that far. You can send an email, but make it an effective email. So we have some very simple options in there. I really like this one, delay delivery. I don't know how it is in your organization, but if I count my emails, all of a sudden, Friday afternoon after 3 p.m., I get like emails. And I get it, people want to have a clean desk before they leave for the weekend. I get that, everything that piled up, let's finish that on Friday afternoon, send out those emails, and then I can have a happy weekend. That is very, maybe egoistic. Consider the recipient. Please consider the recipient. How is it if after 4 p.m. you get like 16 emails on what needs to be done? Whether you act on it or not, you may probably open them, and there goes your weekend. Because you take that information in your head and you are bothered with it. So there's a very, very simple thing. So this will accommodate both the people who want to have a clean desk by Friday afternoon, and you don't bother your colleagues with spoiling their weekend. You can delay delivery. It is so easy. You create your message, you click on options, and there you have delivery options. Do not deliver before next Monday, 9:30. But you have to think about that. You have to consider the recipient of your email, because full email inboxes are not caused by the recipient, they are caused by the sender. And this is so simple. Do not deliver before. There's another advantage. If you take a strategic time like 9:30 in the morning, your sent email will end up on top in the inbox of the recipient instead of being the 30th. So hey, think about it. Delay delivery. It also works in Outlook on the web. You can compose your message, and then you click on the button send later, and you pick a date and a time, and hey, it will just sit there, and your desk is clean. You are done for the week, and this is what it looks like if you receive that message. So I composed this little email, and I composed it at 6 o'clock in the morning yesterday, and it was to be delivered at 11 a.m. yesterday. And look at the arrow on the right. I received it at 11:01. Perfect. Perfect. Use this, especially on Friday afternoon. But also outside of office hours, if you know that people are at home having dinner with their family or whatever. I know especially with the COVID-19, a lot of people are working from home, so you don't really deal with office hours, but hey, don't bother your colleagues or your customers or your clients with emails outside of appropriate times. You know this option now, so you have no excuse. You can delay delivery. Make sure they get the message at an appropriate time on the next day. Have some compassion with your recipients. Don't throw that at them because for you it's easy. You compose the email and you click send, and there you go. So this is I think this is something a lot of people, they are not even aware of this. And this is standard functionality. This has been in there for like 20 years in Outlook. Delay delivery, so simple. So use the feature, please. Oh, then we have this brilliant one, you know? There's a couple of buttons that everybody knows. Sorry, I have to take a sip of water. And one of those buttons is the reply all button. Automatically, you read an email and automatically you click reply all. Not realizing, keep in mind the context of this whole session, effectiveness for the organization. Not realizing that by clicking that reply all button, you create a mailstorm. So it's great, your human resource manager sends out an email to all staff and, hey, we just hired a new person. Let's welcome that new person. And he or she sends that to everyone. So that's 138 people. And then people start hitting the reply all button. Each time they hit the reply all button, that's 138 emails. So we can do two things about that. The first thing is very simple. Again, in delivery options, that's the same screen as the previous one on delay delivery. Have replies sent to. And in this case, please don't send it to me, send it to that HR manager. Because that HR manager was the cause of the whole thing, you know? So have replies sent to a particular person, and that means if somebody hits the reply all button, doesn't matter. The reply will just arrive at this email address, at this person. I think that's fine, but that's not really doing the trick, you know? That is not educating your users in you should not use the reply all button. It will work, it's a technical solution, it's a technical feature that will prevent reply all mailstorms. I prefer this one, and unfortunately it only works for Outlook recipients, so the Outlook application, not Outlook on the web, not on the phone, but hey, most people still work in office spaces and they are addicted to Outlook, so I think you will eliminate a lot of mailstorms by doing this. There is an option and you have to do and hey, look that up on the internet on how to exactly to do that. You can create a form. And then you say in that form, the reply all button is not enabled. Oh, wow, that's great. You know, that's what I want. So the reply all button is there, but it's not enabled. Let's see how that looks from the recipient perspective. So you see it's grayed out. both of the reply all buttons, it's grayed out. It doesn't work. And then people start panicking and say, and they will reply to you and they say, yeah. So now I'm educating you, because in a situation like this, you shouldn't hit the reply all button, but because you create a mailstorm. So these are really two very, very, very basic, simple options to make email more effective, and that is the whole purpose. You know, the Office and the whole Office suite, Microsoft calls it the productivity suite. Yeah, so productivity is about effectiveness. It's not about how many emails can you generate in 1 hour. I can generate like 1,000 emails in 1 hour, no problem. The question is that a effective way of communicating? So both of these prevent reply all mailstorms. So take a note of that. Sometimes you just have a communication to maybe a lot of people, maybe even a distribution list, but you don't want to start up a conversation or a thread, or, you know, if you send out an email to more than 10 persons and you have a discussion in that email, people will start hitting reply all. And then at some point in time, people will hit the reply all button on not the most recent message in the thread. And then you have 2 threads. So consider again the context of, is that effective? Okay, let's move on and see. Let me check in on my other screen for a second if there's already some interesting question. I get less emails than before. Oh, good. I get more emails than before. The option for everyone. No, this is just an Outlook option. So both of them. Look at the options of reply all, have reply sent to. That is available, and the Outlook form designer is available in Outlook for all users of Outlook, unless of course you have some type of group policy in place in your Active Directory environment where you prohibit users from entering designing of forms. So you can control it within your organization by default. When you install Outlook, when it's running on your PC, you can get into the developer view and design a form. And let me go back here one step. And here I am in the designer, and the only thing that I do is disable the reply all button. That's all that I do. Then I save the form, and if I want to send out a new message, I select the form. So not just a new message, I click on new, choose form. I choose the form called no reply all, or whatever name you give it, and then the recipients will be confronted with this screen where the reply all button and is grayed out. And of course, still they can reply and copy and paste addresses and put them in there anyway. Hey, that's fine. You know, this is not 100% proof. This is not meaning that a mailstorm is not going to happen, but you make it a little bit more difficult for your end users. Okay, so let's move on. Let's see what else we have. Oh, we have a couple of really unnecessary options, or options that you should be very careful with. I think I put some 3 arrows in here. Importance. You know, sometimes I get these messages, high priority. So you think that as a sender, your high priority is the same as the high priority of the recipient? To be blunt, I think that's pretty arrogant. So be very careful with that. You may have a very, 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 very high priority and you need somebody to help you with that. But maybe that other person is stuck with like 96 other very, 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 very high priorities as well. So be very careful with using that flag like high importance. Just be careful. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it, but give it some thought. I know that some people just have this as standard, high priority. No, I just have a rule. Everything that's high priority, it ends up at the bottom of my inbox. Because, hey, consider me. Have some compassion with me. I have my own priorities. Then we have two boxes that are really, this is 2020. We are not living like 1998. So request a delivery receipt. 25 years ago, that was a valid option because mail servers were not that trustworthy back then. So a mail delivery receipt just means that the mail ended up in the inbox, confirmed by the receiving mail server that it ended up in the mailbox of the user. Hey, in 2020, mail delivery is pretty robust. So it doesn't make any sense. Then the second one, oh, I really love that. Request a read receipt. Don't do that. Please don't do that. You just generate more emails, and opening an email is not the same as reading an email. Sometimes I get replies on emails, and I notice that the reader didn't even read my question. So a read receipt, so the read receipt will, you get the pop-up question if you open that email and it includes a read receipt. Oh, the sender wants to have a read receipt. And then 2 seconds later you close the email. So what's the extra value? Hey, the context was effectiveness. What is the extra value of requesting a read receipt? It doesn't make any sense. It just generates more emails. Then the sender knows, okay, you opened the email, and then what? I mean, you open an email and you give an answer to the question, and then you return your answer to the original sender. That's the read receipt. Yes, I read your message, and here is your answer. That should be enough. So, in my opinion, these options are totally, I would create a group policy if I was still in Active Directory and just hide these options. They are totally useless. Then we have something, if you are on Office 365 or if you are on a recent Exchange version, that is called mail tips. And people don't give a shit about, oh, sorry, my language. People don't care about mail tips. But remember, you see them before you hit the send button. So I just made some screenshots of some examples. So over here, I want to send a mail to a distribution list. Innova People, that's a distribution list within our organization. But it contains about 45 recipients. So I get not a warning, but I see that if I hit the send button, I will send an email to 45 persons. Sorry for that. So 45 persons. So that's fine. But if you do that, consider one of the previous options to prevent a maelstrom. Because then I'm going to say, happy birthday, Adriana. And then everybody's hitting reply all, and before you know, every time somebody hits reply all, it's 45 emails. And it adds nothing to the conversation. But it's 45 emails every time somebody hits reply all. So that's what we call a maelstrom. And you see this before you hit send. Or this is a good one as well. You know, if you have set up your automatic reply, and this is for internal emails. I'm not talking about external. This is about internal. I'm on vacation, back by October 5th. Oh, there's a typo in there. Forgive me for that one. So today we are living September 24th, 23rd, I'm not sure, whatever. Does it make sense to send an email if you know that somebody's back by October 5? Probably not. You know, I once had an automatic reply set up and a lot of my colleagues got upset. And they said, I'm on vacation, but don't worry, your emails will be deleted in the same order they arrived. Because trust me, when people get back from vacation, they just mark everything as read. Because if it's really important, you will resend the email. So why send it in the first place? You see this before you hit send. One more example of that. Hey, this might be interesting as well. The last 2 days I was attending Microsoft Ignite, an online conference. Oh, there's another typo in there. Expect delays. Because, you know, sometimes people think that email is like a real-time communication means. So they will send you an email and 5 minutes later they will call you. Hey, I just sent you an email. Hey, I'm attending Microsoft Ignite, expect delays. And really pay attention to mail tips. If you're an Exchange admin or whatever, make sure they work internally at least, or with federated organizations, but then we get into technicalities. And then it's also education of users. Because, you know, in my experience is people don't care. They will hit the send button anyway. And then sometimes people, I'm on vacation, they are stupid enough to open their mail while on vacation, and they see all those emails. Then you spoil their vacation. You have a responsibility as a sender. Have some compassion. Have some compassion. Have some mercy with your recipients. So don't do that. And use those mail tips. They are there for a reason. So if there's something there, read it, and before you hit send, think about it. Hey, is there something that I can do to make this communication more effective? Okay, then we come into the CC and the BCC fields. Wow, those are beautiful. No, they are not. So I know a lot of people, especially people who receive lots of emails, they have rules in Outlook, and whenever they are in the CC field, the incoming mail is moved to a separate folder and marked as read immediately. So knowing that, what is the use of putting recipients in the CC field? Because people are always busy. So putting somebody in the CC field and say for your information, cut the crap. Really, people are not waiting for your information or your high importance flag or whatever. They are busy as they are. If it's really that urgent, then send them a normal email and put them in the to field and not in the CC field. And what I really hate, then people really get a nasty email back from me for visibility. WTF, for visibility? No, I don't think so. Then I will reply and I have this brilliant one-liner, you know, really remember this one. I won't put it in words on the screen, but listen carefully. I hate it when you vomit in the serenity of my empty mailbox. That is a reply you will get if you send me an email for visibility. I don't want to see it. If you really need me for something, you know where to reach me. But for your information, for visibility, be thoughtful. Have some compassion for your colleagues, for your customers. Have some mercy. You know, everybody is busy. People have over 30, 40, 50, 60. I know people have over 200 emails a day. Have some compassion with those recipients. That is your responsibility as a sender. So do not do that. Don't put people in CC for your information or for visibility or forward email messages. If you have something to say to somebody or to a couple of people, that's fine. Email is a wonderful communication tool, but it's also a curse. Attachments. So, hey, attachments. So internal emails. Again, I hope most attendees in here are on Office 365. So, hey, if your file is sitting in OneDrive or in SharePoint, you can just put a link. Don't put the complete file in there. Just put the link in there. Then you have a single copy of the original file. You can use co-authoring, so work with multiple people simultaneously in the same file, and it sits in one location. Instead of just multiplying that same file and stash it in 16 individual mailboxes. The same applies for external emails. From OneDrive or SharePoint, attach a link to the file. Share with your customer or your external relationship, your client, your partner, whatever. Share the link. And now I have to explain a little bit on a misconception on that. And I found a nice tweet from an old friend of mine from Germany, Martina Grom. She is MVP on Office 365, and she says, "Dear CISO, the requirement to external sharing must be globally turned off for the entire SharePoint online environment. It does not bring more security. It brings more email attachments and data loss without control and shadow IT. Because your users will find a way to share those documents externally through Dropbox or Gmail or whatever. Let that document sit in SharePoint or OneDrive, and you are totally in control of who has access for how long and whatever. A plain attachment is out of control of your organization." So then we have, and I don't have a slide on that, but I need to, do I have time for that? I have time for that. So you create a Word document, and then you think you're done with that Word document, and then you save it as a PDF, and then you send the PDF as an attachment or as a link. Hey, even better, you send that PDF as a link. But why would you save that file as a PDF? So this is a cliffhanger for next month's seminar on some secrets of Word, because it doesn't make sense anymore to create a PDF. You know, like 12 years ago, it was valid. Hey, a PDF, you cannot open a PDF, you cannot manipulate it. Hey, if you have Word 2016 or 2013 or later, you can open and edit any PDF. So that's not a valid argument anymore. So that's on the attachments of Word documents. So attachments, only links. Don't multiply documents. If they are sitting in one place and people can reach that one place, that's good enough. And don't forget about the multiple people who can simultaneously edit such a document. So finally, because we were talking about effectiveness, and you can actually calculate that. And I did that for our own organization at Innova. So we have about 50 employees, and hey, I'm the IT admin, so I have insights in all those fancy numbers. And I know for a fact that 15 persons within Innova have over 50 emails daily. And I know for sure because, hey, I can see that 30 of those emails are internal and or in the CC field. Now I suppose something. Suppose that the recipients, those 15 persons, spend 2 minutes on each of those emails. And maybe they don't actually spend 2 minutes, but at least they will not spend 2 minutes focused on what they were actually doing. It will be in their minds. It will be in the background. They don't take action or whatever, but they read it and they try to understand what's going on, and then they dismiss it. But hey, they take 2 minutes, and maybe it's only 1 minute. But hey, in the next line you can make your own calculation. But it's for me it was flabbergasting, the outcome of this very simple calculation. So 15 persons times 30 emails times 2 minutes is 900 minutes, is 15 hours, is 2 full-time employees. And we're talking about effectiveness. So by just putting in your boss or your manager in CC and internal emails and whatever, specifically to those persons who you know that are the most busiest person in your organization, you waste like 2 full-time equivalents worth of time. Make that calculation for your own organization. You will be flabbergasted just as I was. You know, this is crazy. You can hire 2 personal assistants for that. It's a lot of ineffective things. And again, it's the senders that are responsible for this. It's not you as a recipient. Your inbox is open. It's very patient. Hey, whatever you throw in there, you throw in there. It's the sender's responsibility. So it's just to do a very quick recap, because we're almost out of time by now. Delay delivery. Have compassion with your colleagues and whatever. Just don't send emails at inappropriate times. We work from home, so 10 o'clock in the evening is not an appropriate time. People sleep with their mobile phone next to their bed, so that will beep if you send them an email at 10 p.m. Don't do that. Delay delivery. Prevent email storms. I showed you 2 ways on how to do that. Refer replies to a specific person, or just eliminate the reply all button altogether. Just keep things like that in mind. Be careful with distribution lists, because you're just multiplying the same message. So this is all about the sender, and I just showed you like 3 buttons in Outlook that you probably were not even aware of. So my challenge for you is to find another 100 buttons in Outlook, because Outlook is a fantastic program, but you have to examine it, and you will find a lot of options in there that can make your life easier and can make the life of your recipients easier. And then we become more effective altogether. And that's the whole purpose of using computers and software, to become more effective. Simple. I think I'm done here. I, I,
All right.
I want to point out one more thing, Adriana, please.
Sure.
You see my personal blog site here. I know I'm not allowed to do that, but hey, my personal blog site is my personal, and I have a rant against email, and you can find some interesting blogs on what else you can do to make email nice again. So go to www.kraak.com. That's me. What else do we have in here? We have Q&A. Okay, so
Yes,
Q&A.
well, we're a little bit out of time, so we'll have
Yep.
only one question. That is, how do I ensure that I'm seeing all the features in the Outlook.com preview on a web browser?
All the features. So the delay delivery. If you compose an email, let me see if I can scroll really fast back. That works pretty well. Here we were. So this is outlook.office.com. And if I compose a message, I can just say send later. The options that I mentioned on, so that's delayed delivery. Unfortunately, these two options on the prevent reply all mailstorms are not available in the web versions yet.
Okay, that's interesting to know. All
So,
right,
so this is really about the Outlook client,
client
and
itself.
yeah. Although you may find some workarounds to that, but in general, out of the box, these features are not there.
In
You
the
can
web browser.
not in the browser.
No.
No.
Okay. Well, I hope that this answered your question. We thank you everyone for attending this session. I hope it was an opening of, hey, how can we respect the recipients, and we as the sender have some things to do before we send an email. So we thank you for attending. Our next webinar, like Jasper already said, is we're going to deep dive a little bit more in Word, and I hope to see you then. Thank Jasper for your time, and thank you for all being here.
You're welcome.